So next we move on to Dr. Tanvi Haldipurkar, who is a consultant cataract and refractive surgeon from Lakshmi Eye Hospital Institute, Navi Mumbai. A very charming personality and has versatile talents within and beyond ophthalmology. And she'll be sharing her video on complicated case of pseudo exfoliation, small pupil, and very hard cataract. Dr. Tanvi,
thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm honored and humbled at the beginning, I would like to say, and it's a tough spot to follow Dr. Suvira ma'am. It was an excellent surgery. I want to thank Dr. Chitra and ARC for this opportunity. And through this case, I actually want to highlight certain principles of phaco surgery, which if followed well, it can help any surgeon complete a case smoothly. So this was a case of a hard brown cataract having pseudoexfoliation with a small pupil and floppy iris. So the first step is to make an adequate sized incision, which can keep the iris at bay. Then a B-hex ring was implanted right at the beginning to stabilize the iris and to widen the pupil. Then I used a 26 gauge needle to puncture the anterior capsule, and the rhexis was completed using the shearing technique with the help of the rhexis forceps. A use of a good cohesive viscoelastic here is helpful to keep the bag stable and to complete the rhexis. Now I use the incision as a fulcrum so that the forceps lines the progress of the rhexis flap and it guides the rhexis to tear under a controlled manner. Multiple regrafts is the key. Now this step is a game changer. I think Dr. Akida also showed it. What I do is I use a low power sculpt mode and I debulk the central area within the rhexis margin to kind of create a comfortable working space. These hard cataracts invariably land up with a shallow anterior chamber, and this helps. Then I go ahead and go to the burst mode phaco to get a good grip over the nucleus, and then I chop it into smaller pieces. So here I'm using almost around just 60% power, and I'm able to get a decent grip over the nucleus, and I break it further down into smaller parts. I could use a vertical chop method too, but here I have used a routine horizontal chop. So I don't intend to emulsify them just yet, but I simply break them down into smaller pieces. And while I was chopping the nucleus, I noticed that the bag was moving quite a bit. So then I decided that I'll put a CTR ring in place to just keep the zonules further stretched. So I put a cohesive viscoelastic into the periphery of the bag, and then the CTR was implanted. Now, as the zonules were kind of weak and I knew that I would need to manipulate the fragments for quite some time, I also decided to stabilize the bag with iris hooks. You can use as many as you think would be enough. I used 4. And once they were in, it was quite easy to proceed ahead. The nuclear fragments were then emulsified using a mix of torsional and longitudinal phaco. The nucleus being hard and leathery, it is very important that we separate its attachments from the bottom so that it can be easily emulsified, because if not, then the pull is just onto the fragment and you may emulsify it completely, leaving probably catch something else onto the tip. It is very important that at all times you use the chopper to guide the fragments to your tip, and we can see the tip at all times. When the last piece remains, it's always a good idea to insert some viscoelastic material. This prevents the bag from collapsing towards our tip. And once the nucleus is out, you can take a deep breath, thank your stars that the bag stayed, and then move on to the rest of the surgery. So the remaining cortex here was very little. It was easily removed. Tip here is to tangentially pull the cortex from the periphery. This is just to prevent further zonular dehiscence. Almost all the cortex was easily removed. You can even switch to a bimanual mode because this helps more into the tangential pull of things. After this, the lens is implanted after filling up the bag with viscoelastic. Here I'm using a blunt spatula just to direct the lens into the bag. The rhexis is being stretched by the iris hooks. Then the iris hooks are removed one by one. The B-hex rings is next to come out. It comes very easily with the help of a Sinskey's forceps and then just pulled out with the holding forceps. After this, we have to wash. I washed the anterior chamber from the viscoelastic, and I normally do go under the lens as well to remove the viscoelastic from under it and then hydrate the wound. Now, what I want to highlight in this case is that it may look like a simple one, but for a beginner like me, it could have gone to a totally different disastrous end. And by following certain basic surgical principles and by watching and learning from the masters over the years, it seems doable. The foundation is that the wound architecture and the rhexis size should be adequate. We shouldn't hesitate to use a good viscoelastic, a good cohesive one, help me to make a decent sized rhexis, even when the bag was moving around. And most important, take all the help you can. So a CTR is implanted if at the right time can help make or break your case. hooks gave me the additional stability to handle the nuclear management. I may have avoided it if I had a softer cataract, but it definitely helped me in this. And a burst mode helps for a quicker and firmer grasp, especially when you're going to spend a lot of time and you would like to keep the effective phaco time low. And the chopper is to be used to guide the fragment. It prevents excessive movements of the phaco probe because you're guiding it towards your tip. And this could otherwise cause a wound hydration if the phaco probe keeps moving around. So in the end, I want to say that for such a hard cataract, we need to be patient, level-headed. It took me 45 minutes to complete this case, and it looks very easy when edited for 4 minutes. But to any beginner watching, if I can do it, so can you. Thank you.
Thanks, Tanvi. That was a wonderful video. I would want to ask Dr. Kamal Kapoor this question. Are you there, Dr. Kamal?
Yes, I'm there, very much there.
Now, we know that BX ring is good, yes, pupil dilator, but it has a thin profile. So these are not very ideal for a floppy iris kind of a situation. So would you have used a BX and an iris hook, or would you have used an iris hook right straight away?
I would have probably just sufficed myself using an iris hook. I agree with you. Because using an iris hook and a BX, it can be a little bit tedious and managing, especially if a youngster beginner is trying. There are some nuances to that. One small tip I saw in the video is that I think, Tanvi, excellent surgery. You know, I would say, you know, you call yourself a beginner. I would not rate that. I would not say that once I saw your surgery. Small little tip, a friendly tip is that whenever you're using a hook, which is probably within 30 degrees of your angle of attack of your phaco tip, your eye is going to rotate. And when it rotates, it hits the nasal part, especially if your hooks are on the nasal side. So what it does is it tends to create a vector, and the iris hook rotates like that. Either it'll tear through your iris, and suppose you've captured the capsule through that, you're gone. So small choice would be after you put the iris hook, just trim your iris hook at the back by around 2 millimeters. This shortens the flange. It stops hitting anything on the medial canthus or the nose. And you will just do this and you will realize how beautifully everything starts falling in place. So I would personally not use a expander and a hook, but yes, they both work individually great. In floppy irises, as Dr. Chitra said, I do agree, floppy iris is a little tricky to put in the expander, but yes, iris hooks works excellent in these situations.
The other question, Dr. Partha, would you have placed CTR right in the beginning in these cases, but if you could use hooks and carry on, could you have placed a CTR much later?
Yeah, again, excellent, Tanvi, and a lot of learning points there. Yeah, about the CTR, the placement, I would always place it as and when required, because the placement of the CTR is not warranted if the zonules are intact. And even with these hard cataracts, and we continue doing these hard cataracts, it's only a few of them where the zonule becomes slack and the maneuvers possibly have disrupted a few more, and then you need to put the CTR. Otherwise, not required. So when, just like you put in the CTR at that place, at that point when it was really required, it has to be placed in.
Okay. Harshul?
Yes,
I
ma'am.
would like to add one point to it, that I would have rather used I don't know whether that was available or not, capsular hooks to, to
Yes.
stabilize the capsule rather than the nylon hooks. Otherwise, the case was very good, tough case, and very well managed.
Yeah. So it was very nice surgery, Dr. Tanvi. My preferred device is, of course, Milligan ring, which I think works better in these cases. It gives better opening of the pupil, and I think it doesn't have such a thin profile as BHEX has, especially for floppy iris. This is very good, ma'am. And otherwise, the rest of the things were perfect, and Tanvi kept on doing whatever was required. When of course, if you can't put a CTR right in the beginning, because it's very difficult to put through such a hard cataract. So once some space was there, and she realized that yes, the bag is not that stable, so she dialed in the CTR ring, and when then of course supported with the iris hooks also, the capsular bag. So everything was done perfect, and that's how the result was so good.
Yes, amazing video, Tanvi. I hope
Thank
you stay
you.
for some more time with us.
I will.
Yeah. We shall go on to
Great
our
surgery, Tanvi, great surgery.